Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spill the Tea. Lou, my name is Lou, and with me today I have Kai from Behind the Dugouts, another special guest. So everybody say hi. You do know Kai from the chat. You've probably not seen him before, but he mentioned collabs there a little while ago. It's not what he was trying to go for, but I thought, you know what, that's a great idea. So I stalked him, found him on X, found him on YouTube, decided he is the right kind of vibe for us. Let's get him on. Obviously, I've been talking a bit about Chelsea the last little while. We've been talking about Rosenior, as I've learned he likes to say his name. And we've been talking about, your structure. We've been talking all sorts about Chelsea from all sorts of different angles. And I thought, wouldn't it be a great idea to get an actual Chelsea fan to talk to me about these things? So welcome to the channel. Thank you for being here. How are you feeling?
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it. And after the weekend, I don't think it could have gone any better. But Chelsea, I know you're absolutely buzzing, but for us, it's a good weekend.
So I'll tell you what, it's good timing. It's good timing. Anyone would think that we planned this on purpose, but actually, Kai agreed to do this before the match. So when was it? It was before even Paphos, wasn't it? I asked you.
Yeah, I think it was about Tuesday.
So Kai has known about this for a little while. He hasn't seen Chelsea win and thought, yes, I'm going to jump on. Now's a good time. He committed before he knew what the result was going to be. So kudos to him. Please do get your likes in, people. I saw earlier on, Gav was in the chat good and early before everybody else. Gav was here. He was saying evening, and straight away he was letting us know his prediction for the game was 3-2 United. He's just saying, and you know what? He's right. He's right. You have to give credit where it's due. I see, obviously, Rob Always United is in the house. I see Streets is in the house. The lads are having a great old chin mag there. Gav was here. He was pottering a while ago here. I saw him. I knew. I always know who's here. Now, first of all, we are going to address the match. We are going to address the Arsenal and the Manchester United match because obviously it was absolutely bloody fantastic. However, the bulk of the show will primarily be about Chelsea because Kai has agreed to spend his evening with us, and so we want to make the most of him, get all the information out of him that we can. But first of all, Arsenal, Manchester United. Can I just say, Carrick is 2 for 2 against Arsenal. He beat them 3-2 the last time when he was the interim manager for all of 3 matches. I see Boffman in the house. I see Guess has joined us. Guess, you missed the tea delivery. It's here. We got all the tea. So what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to ask you a question and you're going to talk for ages while I drink my tea. But yes, so did you watch the Arsenal United match?
Yes, I did.
I think most people did. Even it's one of those matches, even if you're not a fan of either of the teams, it had such an impact on the title, it had such an impact on top forward, it's such an impact, and it's always nearly always a good game. So it's one of those I think most people want to watch. I was over the moon. 3 sensational goals, and can I just say, all of our summer signings, Cunha, Mbumo, Ballon Lamens, unbelievable. Very, very, very good. It's nice to see us back to winning ways. It's nice to see us back to attacking football. It's just, we saw the best of so many of our players. I'm not one for stat talk, really. I find it a little bit boring. But I do think it showed the importance of a system, the importance of a system that plays to the strengths of the players that's in it. It shows that we can get more out of these players. I have said on several match reactions recently for Manchester United, Matheus Cunha needs to be more clinical. Well, boy, was he more clinical. He showed me. So I was over the moon. I thought we were very, very good. I thought we deserved the win, which was phenomenal. I have seen a number of Arsenal fans suggesting that there should have been 2 handballs, okay? So the first one they're talking about is where it hits Dorgu's hip, but they would like a handball for it hitting his hip because they're distraught. They also wanted Harry Maguire to fall on the ground without putting his hands out to brace his fall. But they're quite insistent that these are handballs. And I would just like, you're more or less neutral because you just like both of us. So from your point of view, do you think we won fair and square? Do you think there's anything in it?
100%. You know what's happening now?
Go
They're
on.
panicking. They're
Oh yeah,
panicking because
it's
it's getting
great.
to bottle job time, and it's a typical Arsenal thing to do, to drop it right when it matters. At the end of the day, you're going to break your fall with your arm, your hand. Of course, you're not just going to fly down. So there's no reason why Harry Maguire wouldn't put his hand down there. It's just unlucky. They'll cry
And to
about
be
it. It's okay.
fair, his arm was there before the ball was. It wasn't that he put his arm towards
Exactly.
the ball. His arm was there and the ball came towards him. Not his fault.
Exactly. But that's what it is. They are panicking because at one point they had like a 10-point lead, between anybody. And yeah, exactly. How did you get it straight away?
He knows what's up.
No, it's look, I thought you guys played better in, most parts. Of course, they were going to have spells, but you played better. You were more clinical. I mean, to make it even, you try to even hand it on a plate in the beginning by giving them an own goal.
I know.
And they still couldn't win. So, they will cry about it, and it's good. Look, it's good for football. It's a typical football thing. No matter how bad United are at any point, whenever they come up against the big teams, and that's why I don't like playing against you guys. I hate it. Don't matter. You always seem to turn up. So whenever you're going up against, even if they're top of the league, I'm pretty sure you're going to get the result. I predicted a draw or a win for United. I didn't see Arsenal getting anything out of it because a draw for them still would have been a loss.
Well, do you know what? Ash predicted I'm pretty sure, I'm sure he'll tell me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he said 4-1 or 4-2 or something. He thought we were getting smashed. He also thought City were going to smash us. But I'm delighted. I'm really, really pleased. And there's people talking about Carrick getting a contract, Carrick this, Carrick that. I'll be honest, I don't want to talk about that. We'll talk about it maybe closer to the summer. I wouldn't rule him out because I don't think it's fair to rule him out way ahead of time. Let him interview with everyone else, but I'm not saying give him a contract either. What I just want to shout out, Tyrell is in the house. Tyrell is an Arsenal fan. He has come into the Lions Den after the result. Big up Tyrell for joining us. He has also said Arsenal, he's not very pleased with his team at the moment. He says Arsenal are a joke and Odegaard is a disgrace. Now, I know the head of the Arsenal fan club here in the town that I'm from now. He's actually originally from London, but he lives now in my town. And so he runs the official Arsenal fan club here. He organises all the tickets, the whole lot. And he is not happy with Odegaard at all. Yeah. Not a bit. I have to say, I never really come down heavy one way or the other, and I'm not a massive, massive Bruno Fernandes fan, but I have to say, based on what I've seen the last while, obviously at the injury and the whole lot, I think it's highly insulting to Bruno to compare them ever again. I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I personally never really rated Odegaard. I think he suits whatever system Arteta wants to play. Yeah. But if I had the choice, look, you've got Odegaard and you've got an Eze on the bench. I don't know why Eze's not getting more minutes.
He's not been very good though.
Yeah, but in order to get better, you've got to play more. you
fair.
Can't sit on the bench. Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, when we get into talking about Chelsea, there's many players I could say the same thing. They've had the one game where they've been bad, and then they don't see it for the next 4 or 5 games. They can't even get off the bench. And Eze's been in a similar situation. And Eze's one of those players that can produce a moment of magic out of nothing, but you can't say the same thing for Odegaard. He's got the ability to pick up a nice pass every now and again, but he seems too safe.
Yeah.
In that kind of player in that kind of position, you want him to take risks, and he doesn't. And
I think Bruno sometimes goes too far the other way, but for the most part, you do. You want that player to take risks. You want them to be attacking. You want them. And I do. I feel like Carrick being a midfielder, I think, has benefited us massively because where we have struggled so much is in our midfield setup. He is a midfielder, therefore he understands their role completely. So I feel like whatever he's doing there, it's clearly working. Now we don't know how temporary or non-temporary that's going to be, but for the moment I'll take it. Gav United here is saying having Odegaard as your captain instead of Rice would be like us giving it to Dallo. That might be a bit harsh on Odegaard because honestly I would give Dallo away for a packet of crisps. But I understand the sentiment.
Yeah, there's also how much of is it Odegaard's fault, or how much has he been shackled by the manager? That is something you'll never know until there's a different manager. But
Yeah.
there are loads of cases where managers do shackle players. They play within themselves. They can't do what they normally would do. And then when they get a new manager, you sort of see the best of them. Now, Odegaard could be one of those players, but right now, he just doesn't seem like he's up to what Arsenal
No.
need to get over the line.
And you know what it is? In a match like that, when your captain's getting hooked off at like 55 minutes, honestly, I mean, it's not good, is it? It's
Yeah.
not a good look. I mean, Bruno's never getting hooked off. Never, never.
No.
And certainly not at like 55 minutes, you know?
No,
So
Bruno loves a good Hollywood pass, but
he
you know
does.
he's going to create something every now and again that's going to win you the game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But no, I am on cloud 9. But I think that's enough. I haven't been live with the people. I haven't got to explain how happy I am. PFC TV is also in the house. And I needed to express my joy because so many people wrote us off before this match. I was live on Fire Them Cannons with Anton and Cal. Anton has been so positive this season. So positive. And I was like, just calm down a minute. Just don't get too ahead of yourself. Just slow down. These matches, like, everything's off. And I was so pleased. So pleased. I texted him to remind him. I tried to warn him. He was obviously delighted with that. And really cheered him up after it. But we were not the only team that won. You also won. It was 3-1 against Palace, and they had a red card for Adam. Was Adam Morton, isn't it?
Adam Morton, yeah.
Yeah. What? Tell me what happened. Tell me how you saw it. Like, tell me everything.
So the first half was it was all kind of the same to start with. You know, we've played Palace already this season. It was quite a low block. We struggled to break them down. That game ended up 0-0. This one, it looked like it was going to head down the same route.
Okay.
Low block. We weren't really creating much, which we've said pretty much about every single game this season when we're playing against a low block. And it was a bit fiery. There was lots of big challenges, and generally that's why Wharton ended up getting himself sent off. But what we did and what we are seeing to do a bit more now is we are seeing to be a bit more braver with progressive passes now. Is this down to the manager? The jury's still out on it. I don't think I'm particularly going to make any decision on Liam, at least till the end of January. So he's had a bit of time to implement whatever his style, whatever his tactics may be. Mm-hmm. But I'm starting to see a few things.
Okay.
One of the big things is the fullbacks aren't inverting pretty much all the time. We're starting to see overlapping fullbacks. We're seeing the likes of Reece James get into the crossing positions that, you know, he's one of the best in our team at delivering balls, whether it's from a dead ball situation or from an attacking situation. And he's getting into those positions again. We're starting to see our wingers come inside more. I mean, you look at Esteval and what he's doing. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. Not even on the slightest. There's still so much more. Even the likes of João Pedro, who went completely missing for pretty much the majority of October through till now, has now found a reign of form. I think he's got 5 in 4 games. So is it all just, are we just coming off a new manager bounce? Is it all clicking a little bit and having a bit more freedom, not being shackled? Because one of the things that I had a problem with Maresca is I felt that his structure was very rigid and there was no room for, say, creativity. And one of the things I was worried about is, was he going to stop the creativity players like the Palmers? Because Palmer's not had a great time under Maresca. Mm-hmm. Was he going to do the same to Esteval, who looks just on a different planet compared to what we've got at the moment? Was he going to do the same thing? And what I've seen since he's left is even players that just look like they're going missing are starting to find a bit of happiness. Could be because he's not there anymore, but also a bit of freedom. And they're thriving on it at the moment.
Yeah. And look, to be fair, it's quite similar to the situation we had. My thing with Amram, very inflexible. So exactly what you just said. Players maybe not reaching their full potential that we knew they had in them. Again, could easily be said about Amram. And then after Amram leaves, it feels like they've got they just, do you know, the weight off your shoulders. And my thing is, it's not that Amram or Maresca are bad coaches. They were a bad fit for the clubs they were with. So far, obviously I'm not a Chelsea fan, so I don't have like the emotion attached to it. But I really like Liam Rosenior so far. I really like him. I actually went and like looked at one of his press conferences where they asked him, like, how do you say your name? I ended up watching the whole press conference, and I've been watching, because obviously I'm speaking about the matches. I don't feel like I can speak about the matches if I'm not actually watching them. So I've been watching more of your matches. He's very active on the sideline. He's very like, he knows what he wants from his players. When he sees something he doesn't like, he reacts straight away. He's very on the front foot. It's the kind of thing I like to see in my manager. I don't want someone who's sitting like a sad sap on the sideline, throwing his arms up in the air and having a bit of a Gav there in the chat is laughing there. He's saying we are attached to Chelsea with Jim as the part owner. Sir Jim with his season ticket to Chelsea. Now, Gav has a lot of questions for you. So Gav, I am reading them. I am going to come back, but I'm going to I just want to, we'll have a chat first and then we'll pin him down. But Rob is agreeing there, Rob Always United. That's why United are playing so well. It feels like the pressure's off. And I think it's a little bit of that. See, when a situation with a manager becomes a bit toxic or a bit between the manager and the club, not necessarily the manager and the players, but like towards the end, Amram was clearly falling out with Jason Wilcox on the regular. Obviously, there's a lot of tension there with Maresca and your board before he left. And it does feel a little bit like when they leave, they take that dark cloud with them. And so everybody feels a little bit happier again. It's not like it's like the disciplinarian's gone. And I think, you know what, some players need a bit of discipline. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But I think you can see the difference when the shadow sort of lifts. Also, it's 6 games he's in now, isn't he? I think he's had 6 games in all competitions. I think it might be 6 games.
No, I think it's 5. I think it's 4 and 4 wins and a loss, which was in the Carabao Cup to Arsenal. Yeah, I mean, he's a.
You know what I mean?
It's a good start. It's look, for me right now, especially through this period, what he's got to navigate is not just getting the players on side, because one thing that he doesn't have in his repertoire is the fact that he has not been a winner yet. He's not won anything, and even Maresca coming in had won the championship, so he had a sense of what winning felt like. So you've got a Champions League winner there in Reece James, you've got a World Cup winner there in Enzo Fernandez. To get these players on side when you're not a winner, it can be tough. And the only way to do that is winning games by any means necessary. So look, the first 4 or so games, the football's been dead. It's been terrible to watch, but we're winning. We're getting points on the board. It was touch and go with the Champions League, if we've still got one more game to go, but if we're going to have to do a playoff game and add more games into what is already a long season, or are we going to qualify, or are we going to get knocked out, and what he's doing is he's getting the results. And then we look at Palace game, that second half, brilliant football, much, much better. So for me right now, he just needs to focus on getting the fans on side.
Yeah.
Because that's a tough one. Like, it's not a good time at the moment. And it's not us towards him. I think most of us feel a bit indifferent about him. Some of us don't even care.
Yeah.
All of the anger and all of the frustration is pointed towards the top, but he still has to navigate this because it's being sung in the stadium when the game's going on. He's got to keep his players grounded. He's got to try and protect them from the outside noise. The same with himself. So he's got a lot to navigate. He's a smooth talker. He talks well in the press conference. I'm not going to lie. First press conference,
this guy speaks
nice.
And you know what? I saw, because obviously there was all the talk about the Lego, about the hand clapping and the hand washing and this, and they sort of asked him about it, and he was real jovial about it. He didn't really deny it. He sort of just laughed about it. But you know what it is? They all do that weird stuff. Like, Alex Ferguson used to do all that stuff. Arteta definitely does mad stuff. Do we think Pep Guardiola doesn't do crazy stuff with his team? He's probably just afraid to tell us. He's definitely a mental case. Like, I think all the top managers are out there doing that. But you know what I like? He's so assured about it. He's not embarrassed by it. He doesn't feel overawed. And I actually think he has that bit of an aura. And I think what you're saying, it's really important. When you're going in, you don't have the kind of the competitions, the trophies behind you, when you don't have the big CV. I think it can be hard. And as you say, not only does he have to win the players over, he has to win the fans over. And your fans are like our fans at the minute, not happy campers at all. So I think he had a big challenge. But he seems to be taking it all in stride. He does not seem, and not in an arrogant way, like he doesn't seem oblivious to it. He just doesn't seem overawed by it. He seems to be taking it in stride. He seems to communicate well. I have to say, so far for me, from the outside looking in, I do feel like he's made a really good first impression from the outside. But obviously, as you say, he has to keep getting the results, because otherwise it won't matter what he does in his press conferences. Yeah. What I would also say as well, I agree with you. It's fair enough the performances might not be there at the minute, but you'd rather bad performances and getting the points than unbelievable performances and no points. Because do you see, if he wasn't getting points, his performances would be irrelevant. Nobody would care. Do you know what I mean? So far he's doing, obviously you want both, but to begin with, he's doing it the right way round. Now, we do have some questions. Everybody's very excited that you're on the show. They've all so many questions. They're all buzzed. Now, let me see, because I don't want to, I know we're in the middle of people's conversations. Everybody's on fire tonight. They're all having a great L10 mag. Right, let's start with Z Gould. Z Gould would like to know, who's the better team right now, Chelsea or United? Just getting stuck right in there. No problems at all.
Chelsea.
Do you believe that? Genuinely?
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think we have. I do think we have the better squad.
Okay.
The manager side, I'm going to say jury's out. They're both.
Yeah, they're both.
Carrick, Middlesbrough. Yeah, they're both sort of similar level. I would definitely say, in terms of player quality, we've got the better side, in my opinion.
I would
have also said United. In depth.
You might have more depth than us. What I've noticed is, from we've changed, we had zero depth, and then we've changed shape. And from we've changed shape, we have better options on the bench because we have more people in each position. So we've actually, just by changing shape, we have better depth now than we had before compared to ourselves. Like, I don't think there's a big gap, being completely honest. If I'm looking at it, I don't think there's a big gap. I think you guys have maybe more star players, like Esteban is up and coming star. Like, obviously we are going to speak about Cole Palmer, but you have some like star power players, players that people talk about, and exciting players. But I don't think you have an enormous amount of experience, and that's something that we have. There's a lot of things we don't have, but we have experience, and the good kind of experience, to keep it together. Like, see, like Harry Maguire and Casemiro, like when you're playing like the game we had against Arsenal, they give you something that a younger and up-and-coming player doesn't. So I think Chelsea's squad and team probably has some qualities that we're lacking, but I think we have some qualities that you're lacking. I think if I was, say, a rival, and again, we're imagining this, if we say Arsenal, do I think they would be more worried about facing United or Chelsea?
Yeah.
I think United. But I mean, I could be looking at that with my bias. Do you know what I mean? I would give the edge to United. But I don't think it's drastic. I don't think I think we're both in a bit of a rebuild. We're both, fan bases that aren't happy with our owners. Both of our managers are kind of works in progress at the moment. And as you said, we're kind of on jury's out for both of them. I don't think we're in drastically different positions. So it's fair to give our own team the edge.
There's not a massive gap in terms of the performances that we're putting out. Obviously, you've had 2 great performances, but you've had a
Yeah.
very similar season to
Up and
us
down,
where it's been some highs and some very, very, very lows. But in terms of the squad, you would say, yeah, you're erring on the side of more experienced players.
Yeah.
We're erring on the sides of a lot more sort of the stardom kind of players, the players that will go out and sort of win you the game. And there will be areas of the pitch, I can see some people saying you've got better forwards.
Yeah.
Some, yes, I would say some, no. I think our midfield would trump yours, and then in defence, I think defence and goalkeeper, I think it's a put your hand in the hat and pull out and see who comes up, because there's not been much consistency from our side. But
I like our defence. I have to be honest. I like
our fullbacks, I would say our fullbacks, Cucurella and James. What have you got? Dallo and Luke Shaw.
Oh, we'll not talk about Dallo. We have Mazraoui.
Yeah.
Mazraoui is back from AFCON, and Mazraoui is 10 times the player of Dallo. So we're not arguing Dallo.
Yeah.
Dallo's in the bin. But Mazraoui is very good.
Yeah.
The problem is Luke Shaw is injury prone. When he plays, he's very good. He's a very, very good player. The problem is he's just injured. But the thing is, we've got international competition coming up, so he's likely to be okay for the rest of this season at least. So we're not too bad. If you ask me again next season, I might have to give you a different answer, because God knows who it would be.
Yeah, and I'll say one of the things under Maresca we had is our team was very predictable. Like
I have to ask you a question. Sorry, I mean, very rude. Gav has to go because he mods on another channel, so he's going to shoot. But he had a question, and his question was, it was about Garnacho. I don't know. How did you feel about Garnacho? Where's my starred chats? I put him in here.
I'm gonna surprise you guys. I'm probably there are a few of us. I was actually quite happy with the Garnacho signing.
Okay. I actually know another Chelsea fan who was reasonably happy with the signing as well. It doesn't seem to be the theme of your fan base, because he again was kind of user a minority. Tell me.
Yeah, it's definitely we are definitely a minority, and with each performance, he's having some great performances, and he's having some "Are you even a footballer, mate?" performances. But for me, in terms of the price, in terms of the age, he definitely needs to do something with his barnet and his look, because it's all over the
back
place.
to the blonde? It's rotten.
He's back to the blonde, and then he went dark, and now he's gone blonde again. He just looked like some Slim Shady kind of thing. I don't know what's going on. But I do think there is a player in there. I do. And when I look back, and this is stats, and this is paper, and again, football is not just based on paper, but when you're looking back over the seasons, statistically, these are the things that you can weigh up and judge players on. It might suit some. I don't think so, but
not for me.
United have had a terrible time.
Yeah.
For many years, but during your terrible time, he has gotten better. Every season, he was producing more goals, more assists. Every season, and think he's 21 now, so he was doing that at 18 or 19, 20 when he was very, very young. I don't think as of yet, and it will change with Rosenior, I don't think Maresca was using his best attributes. For me, Garnacho is not a 1v1 winger. I don't want to see him squaring up somebody and trying to dribble past him, do a little step over. He's not that type of player. What he is very good at, and he's shown already, is he's great at running in behind. He's got a great football intelligence of how to time his run correctly, how to move in behind the lines without being sort of marked, which that is very tough to teach. Now, one thing he needs to improve on is his finishing, because sometimes he's got a great shot on him. Other times it's going out into the stands. He's very hot and cold. And one thing that stuck with me, what United fans have said, is he's like a super sub. He's not great when you start him, but if you bring him off the bench, he will make an impact. And every game he's come off the bench, he's either scored or he's assisted. He's changed the game. But when he starts, he just looks like a completely different player.
Gav has some advice for you. he says, just don't upset his brother. That seems to be a problem with a lot of our players. But
Maino was one as well, wasn't it?
don't get me started. See, brothers, see if I could get a hold of them brothers, I tell you.
Yeah.
But Mainu's brother was on Love Island and Everton. He's just an attention junkie anyway. But I have to say, first of all, that was actually exactly how I felt about Garnacho at United. Very talented player. His problem, and I said this when we were selling him at the time, I've been very consistent with Garnacho. I've argued with my own fan base, I've argued with your fan base, I've argued with all the fan bases. Garnacho is a very, very talented player. The problem with Garnacho is, first of all, he's surrounded by the wrong people, a la his brother. Therefore, because he was doing so much at such a young age, at such a big club, and then he was surrounded by the wrong people, it got in his head very young. And he got ahead of himself, and we weren't in a position as a club to be able to rein him in. And I think that's probably, when we were talking about Maresca earlier, Maresca was probably exactly the right type of manager for Garnacho, because he needed that. He needed someone to go, no, you sit on the bench, you shut up. Because when we benched him, he's tweeting left, right, and centre. He's liking all sorts. He's doing mad stuff. He's not doing that with you guys. That's already a good sign. I think that's really, really good. For us, he was always more effective off the bench. 100% off the bench, always more effective. But what that tells me is he can read the game well, because he's sitting on the bench, watching it, understanding it to know what to do when he comes on. That tells you there's some sort of football intelligence all up in there. So I think if you can get a check on his attitude, like permanently, and I think if you can help him work on his decision making, because what I found was he would cross when he should shoot, and he would shoot when he should cross. He would get it mixed up. And so I think if you were able to keep his attitude in check and work on his decision making, I think you have a genuinely talented player there. Maybe not the level of Estevao, because we've damaged his progression. But if you had got him at the same age as, what age is Estevao? He's much younger, isn't he?
18, yeah.
Yeah. So if you had got Garnacho, or if a team that was capable of developing a player had got Garnacho at that age, we just weren't the right environment for him. We weren't. It wasn't. We weren't the environment to get the best out of him. And sometimes you can't get that time back. However, I do still think he has quite an amount of talent, and a lot of it's raw talent, so if he's still there to be shaped. And I actually think that's Wills, welcome to the chat. Wills is an Arsenal fan, so he skipped the start of the show. He didn't want to talk about the Arsenal United match. He just wants to talk about Chelsea. He's more than happy to not talk about Arsenal today. Well, Wills, you've come at the right part of the show. You've missed that part. This is Kai. Kai is behind the dugouts. He's probably spoken in the chat before, and I've strong-armed him into coming on to the show. But yeah, back to Garnacho.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem that we have had as fans is that though there could be a good player in there, he's not the right player that we need now. Like, we need more experience and better quality to push on, to progress. And it's not a step backwards, but it's just the same. It's the same old type of player that we've brought in. Now, what we tend to forget is that it would be amazing if you could have a team of 22 to 25 all first team players. That would be amazing. But the problem you'll have with that is they will start getting annoyed and frustrated that they're on the bench, and they would want to go play first team football. So realistically, it's impossible to have a team full of first teamers. What you do need is squad depth. The unfortunate thing for a lot of these young players, and it is still crazy to think Garnacho has been around for so many years, he's still only 21 years old, is what we have not done, and what we are letting them down is we're not giving them the right players to learn from. On the left-hand side, who he's competing with is another young, raw English winger. What he needs is a 26, 27-year-old that has been around the game for a while, that has developed his own style, that has picked up a few tricks along the way to teach Garnacho, because not something he's had at United or things like that. And we haven't provided that. So on that side, I think we are kind of letting some of these players down, that we could provide them with a bit more experience to learn. And I think it's our job too. So only time will tell with Garnacho, but I'm hoping for our side we'll start aiding him with a bit of experienced players.
I have such mixed emotions on Garnacho because he was so talented when he came through. I loved him so much. I just thought like his ceiling was so high, and then the attitude started, and then he kind of was taken out on the fans, and then he was the brother incident, and then he fell out to Matt, and then the attitude started, and then I kind of lost patience. I was like, right, no, see if you're going to have that attitude, off you pop. Obviously, I don't want to see him do well at a rival. I don't want to see Chelsea doing well, but there is still a little part of me, as you say, I feel like we let him down. I feel like he could have been so much more, but we couldn't provide the environment he needed. So part of me wants him to do well, and part of me wants him to fail absolutely miserably. So I'm very mixed with him. DJ Sav in the house, first time in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And a Chelsea fan. So you're not all on your own anymore. You have another Chelsea rep. Because so far you've been outnumbered by United and Arsenal. So you've got another Chelsea fan in the house. You've struggled on, and now there's two of you. But speaking of players with experience that are going to be nurturing because your transfer strategy isn't going to change drastically. Even if you do get one or two with experience, it's not going to do a drastic shift. Like they've set in stone, that's where it is. But there has been some rumours about one of your more experienced players potentially being homesick and wanting to move home to Manchester. And I thought, well, isn't that a big pile of codswallop? I'm not even giving it time. I literally mentioned it on a stream the other day, only to say I thought it was complete nonsense. And then I go on X today, and this complete nonsense, look what I found. Samuel Luckhurst. I'll Sammy boy. Well, if it's nonsense, what's he doing talking about it? So I don't really know how to feel now. So this is 2 hours ago. Samuel Luckhurst is the blue tickets, the real him. And he says, moving to boyhood club Man United appeals to Cole Palmer, who's missing life in Manchester. Club well stocked with number 10s, don't we know it, and left footers. Wilcox oversaw Palmer's development at City. Yeah, that would be the same City he left. Now, I still think it's a pile of nonsense because we have about 15 number 10s. We definitely don't need more number 10s. He's a very talented player. It's nothing against Cole Palmer, but of all the positions we need, none of them are 10. We need strikers, we need midfielders, we need defenders. We could probably do with another backup goalkeeper because Bayindir was as bad as Onana. The one position we don't need is number 10. We've Mbeumo, Cunha, we have Bruno, we've Mount, like we'll have enough number 10s. So I just think it's a pile of nonsense. I also don't think Chelsea will ever sell him unless he absolutely kicks up a ruckus, which I don't think he will. So I think it's a nonsense. But I was very surprised to see Samuel Luckhurst today, 2 hours ago, put this out there. What do you make of it?
It's a load of rubbish.
Oh, thank God.
It is. It's, look, Palmer is in an unfortunate situation where he has been injured pretty much the entire season with the odd game here and there. He's come back, it's not looked right, picked up a bit of injury again, and then he's disappeared again. And he's frustrated. He's annoyed. Yeah. He had an absolute world beater of a season under Pochettino. And he went on to the Euros, did the same at England. You know, he was cruising. The game looked easy. He got ran into the ground because let's be real, over the last season, he has just been playing non-stop football, and he's not the only one. You know, Caicedo, Enzo, we've got players that have just been running to the ground and not had rest, and it was only going to happen. Of course, they were going to pick up injuries at some point, but he can't seem to get back. And when he is back, he's not the Palmer from before. He can't get into the game. He can't affect it as well. And that's, of course, it's going to happen. He's not fit. He's not sharp. And it is frustrating for the player. When they talk about he scored the penalty against Brentford, he didn't celebrate. Well, yeah, but he had an absolute terrible game. When
see if he'd celebrated, the same people would have been like, "What's he celebrating for? It's a penalty, and he was terrible." You can't win.
No, you can't. It's it's journalists stirring up the pot because they see that he's not celebrated. They can see. I mean, he looks frustrated, which of course he would.
Mhm.
But he's on a death row contract till like 2033.
Like all
So
the rest of your
that in
players.
its sense is a ridiculous length. So that's going to cost. You're not getting him for anything under than 120 mil. Like easy.
No, I
Like
agree.
not even close. And the club want to build around him. There are going to be players that, and we talk about being a buy to sell club, which is the narrative around us at the moment. We have to sell in order to buy players. But there are going to be certain players that we're going to keep to build our squad around, and he will be one.
Yeah.
Moises Caicedo will be another. I don't see these players leaving, even if astronomical comes through. Now, if he wants to push for a move, which I don't think he's unhappy.
No.
I've not seen any indication to show me that he's unhappy. And if it's just people going off the fact that he didn't celebrate, they're clutching for me personally. And until he comes out himself, and makes a statement, it's all nonsense. And
I can't believe, I was so shocked because in my mind it's complete nonsense from both ends. From both ends, there's no part of this that makes any sense for anybody involved at all. We don't have that money. Yous don't want to get rid of him. I don't particularly think he wants to move. We don't need a number 10. And as we were saying earlier, essentially what yous are doing is buying young players, letting them grow through your system, and then as they grow, like Cole Palmer, you're then using them for the next batch that are going to follow through. He is now at the exact age they want him to be at. They're not going to bloody well sell him. I think it's a complete nonsense. But I was very surprised to see Samuel Luckhurst sort of stoking the flames, because it's not his normal style, is it?
No, but one thing I find very crazy, right? They talk about homesick, like Palmer's in Spain or Italy. He's in the UK. If he wants, he can jump in his motor and drive up to Manchester. Or
I'm
catch
sure he's
a flight.
it's not that bad.
I'm sure he's got a big enough house to invite his friends down or something. Like, they're acting like he's miles and miles away.
You would think it was really fast.
I just don't get it.
Makes me laugh. But DJ Sav also agrees with you. He said, yep, this is spot on. I totally agree with this. I think too many people out there are reading too much into this. Palmer is frustrated because of his injury, nothing else. And I would absolutely fully agree with that. There was one of the matches kind of after he had come back from his injury I think it might have been the match before he went off again. And I'm watching it and I'm going, you can see he's still injured. You can see he's still, and I obviously don't watch him week in, week out, but even I can see he's still injured. And you're sort of going, well, if I can see he's still injured, surely our medical team. And I think that's where you start having a problem, where they're rushing him back. So he's getting frustrated that he's not well enough quickly enough. And then he's getting frustrated when he's playing and he can't do what he wants to be able to do. And then he's getting frustrated because he knows he's going to get injured again. Like, it's a lose, lose, lose. Let the man recover, or you're going to end up giving him a serious long-term injury. And I just think
you've also got to take into account that the World Cup is around the corner, and he wants we've got probably the best chance in a long time to actually do something in this World Cup, and he would want to be a part of that. But he's running out of season. He's running out of games to actually prove that and get Thomas Tuchel to pick him. So that's going to frustrate him as well, because he wants to be a part of it. And let's be real, Chelsea, we've probably been like the cake to these journalists for the last 4 years with these new ownership. They just take anything that they can and spin it as much as they could. With the Maresca thing about talking to Man City, the journalist that dropped that, I can't remember the guy's name, but I want to say
David blend
Ornstein.
Into one sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, but he had been sitting on that for months, but he only decided to drop it because Maresca come out and said something about him not being supported, and then it's like, oh look, now I can drop this because, and look, it's good journalism. That's what they're paid to do. They're paid to stir the pot and get people to click. But this Palmer situation just seems the same thing. They've seen it. He's frustrated. What clicks can we get out of it? Let's make a story. He's homesick. Man United want to buy him. Well, any club's going to want to buy him. He's Cole Palmer, for goodness sake. Of course they're going to want him.
But the thing is, to be fair, I think most clubs would want him because he's so incredibly talented. But I think of all the teams, they like United because United gets the clicks. But of all the teams to link him to, Like, they would have been better just linking him back to Manchester City than United because of the amount of number
He's a
10s
United
we
fan,
have.
though, isn't he? From what I
Yeah,
heard.
but no, he is. That's that much is true. He is actually a United fan. But I mean, it's his job. I don't think you make, like, Wayne Rooney was an Everton fan. Do you know what I mean? I don't like Roy Keane isn't a United fan. Do you know?
Yeah.
I don't. It's their job. I don't think they look at it the way we look at it. It's very much. There's players like Ollie or like Bastian Schweinsteiger that, like, they love the club. They love it. But I think for the most part, for the players, like, it's their job. I don't think they see it as the way we do. But Rob Always United put this comment in earlier, but I wanted to give you a bit of time to warm into the show before I asked you. So, Lou, can you ask behind the dugouts where he sees Chelsea finishing this season? Which is a great question. Really like that question, because I before the season, there was a group of us that all did predictions, and I put you guys to win the league, and you have made me look like a right dope. So, where do you think you're going to finish?
I think we'll finish third or fourth. We will finish in the top four.
That's confident.
Look, one of our biggest problems this season, it might be different under Rosenior. I don't know yet, because we've only played Arsenal, but when we've come up against the big teams, the Liverpools and things like that, we've generally done pretty well. It's not the little teams, because I don't like saying that. The teams that we're expected to beat.
Yes.
Like the Leeds and the Bournemouth, we've dropped points. Either a draw. I mean, we lost. We end up losing to Sunderland, losing to Leeds.
Yeah.
If we can change that while still maintaining the performances against the big teams and picking up points, we should finish comfortably in the top four. Now, so far, so good. Brentford, Crystal Palace, teams that we have dropped points to already.
Yeah.
We've now picked up points. And it's tight. It is tight. I do see Liverpool dropping off even more.
I reckon third's out of the running. To be honest, I think first, second, third is done. When you just look at 46 points, like, even like we're the closest.
They're gonna have a hell of a drop off.
And so I don't see them having that drop off, even though Unai Emery is a complete loose cannon. So I think first, second, third is out. I think what everyone's going to be fighting for is fourth and fifth. So, because I think fifth is going to get to Champions League again, to be honest, with the way
down
the
on the
coalition
points, isn't it?
Yeah. And just to let everyone know while we're here, Everton Leeds are playing, but they are 0-0 at the moment. That's why you're seeing them with red dots. They're just currently 0-0. But I think it's going to be us, yous, Liverpool are going to keep going, but I think they're going to fall off. Newcastle are so up and down. They're so up and down, but while they've been up and down, they're consistently moving up the table. So I think it's probably going to be, I think Fulham will drop off, and Brentford don't seem to be having a good time the last two matches. But I think us, use Newcastle, Liverpool, it depends if the sack slot, really, doesn't it? What they do.
I feel like they're going to keep him to the end of the season. I know there's some rumours talking about Xavi Alonso. I kind of always saw this coming at some point. Alonso ending up at Liverpool, but the league is quite competitive. But what Liverpool, and as Chelsea fans, we know this: when you overhaul your team so dramatically, it is going to be so difficult to click. It's so difficult. And one of the content creators that I've speaking to, another Chelsea fan, he predicted before the season even started, even when they had made the asects signing, that Liverpool were going to fall off. They were going to struggle because of the overhaul that they were doing, and it's come to fruition. They look terrible. They do. Their defense, which has probably been one of their staples for many years, it looks nothing. I mean, Van Dijk looks looks like it's at the end of his career, if I'm going to be totally honest.
But what is he, 34, 35 or something? Like, he's some age, so he is. Like, I think, myself and Ash, we often speak, Newcastle's squad is very much starting to age out. Liverpool's squad is starting to age out. And the fact is, as you're saying, they're doing such a massive overhaul, but they're doing it under a relatively new manager. Like, I think Klopp would have handled this better, but I think he would have handled this better because he knew the team better. He knew the club better. He was in situ already. I think when you put change on top of change on top of change, it's going to compound and it's all going to get harder and it's going to take longer for everything to settle. I also think it could be a case again of not that Slot is a bad coach, but that he's not the right fit for Liverpool. He's not the right fit for what Liverpool need right now. And I think sometimes clubs fall into the trap of signing the name or signing the standalone ability, but they're not looking at how does that fit with what we've got? How does that fit within our structure? How does that match up with us? Because that can be a good coach and a decent run team or a club. But if it's not a good match, they're both going to look bad. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think there's an awful lot to it. And I think, I'd be interested to see. Any Liverpool fans that I know have sort of said similar to you. They don't reckon he's going to be sacked in season. They don't want to sack the reigning, because he's still currently the reigning Premier League manager. Do you know what I mean? So I think they don't want to be seen to sack him in the season after he's won the Premier League. Whereas I think they like to be organised. They will likely have somebody lined up for the summer and will probably just see it out till then. What they maybe can't account for is if it gets worse. If it gets worse, they might have no choice because it's not good. Like, it's really not good. And I think their fan base is starting to get a little rowdy, a little toxic. And I don't mean that in like a nasty way. I mean in the way that, you know, when it's sort of bubbling underneath. We've experienced this many times. You're going through it at the moment. So we understand when you start to see it just bubble, and that's what it feels like with Liverpool at the moment. So I think they might have a plan. The plan might have to go in the bin. But
it's when it becomes untenable. That's when they have to make a decision. I don't know if it's quite there yet, but
I think it's well on the way, though. I do think it's well on the way. I think another loss or two and it could go. And the thing is, because they don't get overly dramatic all the time, when they do, I think you notice it. Like, we get dramatic all the time. So when we get dramatic, everyone's like, oh, United fans are at it again. I think because Liverpool fans don't generally do it, it's more noticeable. Big up to iNotes, who's in the house. Nice to see you, friend. I spotted you sneaking your way in. Now, Wills wants to get back to Chelsea. He's enjoying this conversation. iNotes would like to add 500 million in one summer bottle jobs. So iNotes is ready for this conversation. Wills is saying we have a United, Liverpool, Chelsea top 4 fight, and people are calling this season boring. I don't know if you saw the show I did the other day about, is this the most competitive or least? I've seen people saying this is the least competitive Premier League season in years. And on the other hand, I've seen people saying it's the most competitive Premier League season in years. I think it's competitive, spoiler alert, because I think the fact that we're all bunched up, the fact that this far into the season, everybody is on such a close points tally, I think you can't say it's not competitive. If it wasn't competitive, we wouldn't all be close together. Certain teams would be flying ahead. Whereas actually, when you look at how close the whole table is, like some of the teams here, let me put it back up. If we look, even at the bottom there, obviously poor Wolves, but like there's relegation zone. Like, even down there, it's all so close. 2 or 3 games, the difference, with plenty left to go. And then as it was Wills said that, wasn't it? As Wills is saying, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, top 4 fight. I mean, the fact, and there, Wills just reads my mind. The fact that it's unpredictable, to me, tells me that it's competitive, because if it wasn't competitive, we could predict it. But there's people out there saying it. And there is Aaron in the house. Welcome, welcome, friend. So what do you think? What's your take on the competitiveness or lack of competitiveness in the league this season?
It's definitely closer than last season.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because, I mean, Liverpool pretty much ran away with it.
Yeah.
Where this season, I mean, not only is it closer, some surprising teams are, I mean, you look at Villa, not many people would expect them to be pushing there, but you know, they're having a great season, and not falling away as of yet. Obviously, there's still a lot of football still to be played. So there's still the
They're
possibility.
sticking in there though.
They're still sticking there. Arsenal, they were 10 points clear at one point. Now look, they're struggling to get a point. So like in that sense, it is quite competitive. And I think I put this in your chat maybe a week or so ago.
Mhm.
One thing I do feel that the standard of football has dropped though. I don't feel like it's as when I'm watching the game, especially I
Yeah.
watched the Champions League last week. So many 0-0s, so many like
Yeah.
1-1s.
I did a whole video on how many 0-0 draws we've had this season, and it was so interesting.
Yeah, it's for me. It's not as I'm not as entertained as I have been over the last few years in football, and that could be attributed to the managers. Maybe the tactical side of the game has just gone to a whole. Everyone's just trying to play chess,
Yeah.
and the attacking free flowing football has just gone out the window.
Mhm.
Or is it because the standard of player has dropped?
Do you know what?
A standard of there's
think
many.
I think it's option 2 because option 1, because I think we always look kind of, I think, at older, like I will forever look at like the late 90s, early 90s as the pinnacle of football. It was fast paced, it was robust, it was tackles flying in, there was goals everywhere, there was flair, and everybody was doing a madness, and I loved it. You know what I mean? So I think definitely, like Aaron is saying there, set plays, tiki-taka football, pep style, slow build up, side to side to side to side to side.
We're seeing long throws come back in, which is an old school.
Do you know what though? I don't mind the long throws. So many people hate them. I don't mind them. If you could throw it that far, go for it. What I hate is when they take 5 minutes before the throw. I don't care about the long throw itself. I have a major problem with everything takes 15 minutes. All of the VAR checks. And I think VAR, forget about whether you think it makes the right decisions or not. It slows the game down because you have to stop, you have to check, they have to have a chat, then they announce the decision. Then 5 minutes later, there's something else that they have to check. Everything's slower. And I feel it's a little bit like it makes the game quite stop-start. So I think it's the kind of the pep ball as such, the tiki-taka back and forth, slow build up. There's no flair. It's not free-flowing. Everybody, I think, who was a neutral yesterday would have absolutely loved the match between Arsenal and Manchester United because it was fast-paced, free-flowing, physical, flair football. That's what we love. I don't think players have lost the ability to do that. I think it's what you said. I think some managers are overthinking it. And I'm happy to say, I think it's dying. Because I think even Pep is starting to give up on it. And when the person who started it is starting to give up on it, everybody else is going to have to follow suit. I'm hoping. That's what I'm going with.
Times you're going to have to adapt to the times. I mean, the one thing Pep has had to adapt to, and it's forced really, is Haaland. He has had to force his style to change because he's got a robot up front that just scores goals for fun. And if you've got a player like that, you play for him. Like that's just the fact. At the end of the day, you can have a team full of great players, but the guy that scores you goals is the guy that's going to win you the game. So you need to use his abilities to the best as you can. So you've seen the ball go longer now from Pep, which that was blasphemy if you ever saw that under Pep. Back in Barcelona, I don't think they ever played a long ball, but it is starting to change, but it needs to change quicker because it's frustrating sometimes to watch the games.
Because I think, when you get more matches like yesterday, I think people realise that how much they missed it, how much they enjoy it. And I think you can fall back into it as quick as you fell out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, Wills is saying there, he's calling it. I think there'll be a time limit for corners next season. Do you know what? Wouldn't surprise me. Aaron is saying it was a good game yesterday. Rob is agreeing with me. VAR doesn't help. Definitely not. Streets
they
saying
are such the passion.
It does, because you have to wait for everything. Streets is saying simple football is the best football. All this tactical stuff can be too much at times. Absolutely 100% agree. Don't overcomplicate it unnecessarily. Guess is wondering, has everyone hit the like button? If not, she's going to use her spanner. Now, excuse me, I did have something else I wanted to ask you. Gav, I think, is gone off to do his modding duties. Oh, I see Alanma. Alanma is in the house. Gav left us this question, or this statement, before he went off to do his modding duties, and he said, off this topic, wasn't it great to see a ref with a set in him? Great debut, young man. And so what he is talking about is this man here, Barai Halam. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Sent to the monitor, VAR advice ignored, and it's his first ever Premier League game. The referee, Farai Halam. Now, Pep was not pleased about this situation at all. Did you see Pep, the videos doing the rounds of Pep going up? And it's the most sarcastic handshake I've ever seen in my life. I am prone to a little bit of sarcasm. So if it wasn't so absolutely mortifying for Pep, I'd be slightly impressed at the level of sarcasm he was able to convey without words. You could see he was raging, absolutely raging. Now, the decision itself was, I don't know how I feel about it, being honest, but maybe that's my answer. Because if I'm not sure, then why would you overturn it? Because VAR is supposed to be for clear and obvious. What I will say, what I really, really, really liked, and I said this at the time, and it wouldn't have mattered who the decision was for or against, because as I said, I'm a little bit unsure how I feel about the actual decision. What I really like is that he had the confidence to say, he went to the screen, he looked at the screen, and he said, no, I trust my decision. You can't tell me to change it. And it happened once earlier in the season. I can't remember the referee's name because it's not one of the ones I'm always giving out about, obviously. And he did the same thing. He went to the monitor and he said, no, I think my original decision was correct. I'm sticking with it. And I think that's so important because I think what's happening a lot of the time now is, first of all, referees are getting lazy. They're not really reffing the match because they're kind of going, well, if I get it wrong or if I miss something, VAR will step in. And if they can't step in, it's not that serious. I think they're getting a wee bit lazy. And I also think they feel like they can't argue with VAR. They feel like if VAR calls them over, like how many times do you hear it or see it? Oh, well, he's going to the monitor. We know what's going to happen now. Because they feel like once they've been sent to the monitor, they have to change it. So I think the principle that he stuck to his decision rather than allowing VAR basically to re-referee the game, I think it's important because the point of VAR isn't to say, you got that wrong, we're overruling you. It's to say, have another look. We're not so sure about that. He had another look and he was sure. So I thought it was very interesting. But how do you feel? Did you see the whole incident? How do you feel about, firstly, him sticking to his decision? And then do you have really a strong opinion on the actual incident then itself?
Not so much the incident. It's one of those, I wouldn't say 50-50, but if there's any doubt, then you should just stick with your decision. And clearly he didn't feel that there was enough that was shown that was to say his decision was 100% incorrect.
Yeah.
And you're right. Every time a referee goes over to the screen, you're like, well, of course we're getting it now. Like it's 100%. But I think referees have been using that as a crutch to not be at top level performance because they know someone's on the camera watching everything that will pick up things that they miss. So they don't need to be operating at the highest of levels. Like you said, they're getting lazy. But it's nice to see that VAR doesn't control it, that they can be challenged. They can say, well, no, I'm not changing my decision. And it's nice to see maybe other referees will follow suit.
Yes.
Who knows? I kind of miss the days of the jeopardy, and even if the decision was completely wrong, you get over it because you know you get one decision doesn't go against you this week, and the next week you'll get one that should have gone the other way. So I kind of miss that football. I think VAR really has killed something in the game, even just the goals going in. Like when a
You know
goal
what, as
goes
well?
in, unless it's like clear and obvious that there's no ways anything, and even then there's still a little bit of doubt in your mind. I can't even celebrate because I'm
No.
like, oh, is it in? The first
Yeah.
thing, checking. Is VR looking at
Is
this?
there a
And
review? Is there an offside?
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's killed it. I do like the automated offsides.
Yes.
I like
Well,
that.
if they were
I think that,
faster, maybe.
yeah, a little bit quicker, but I like that we're now not having people with a pen trying to draw a line on the
Yeah.
pitch that terrible at drawing. That makes sense. The VAR, there's definitely work needed on it big time.
Yeah. I think as well, it's easier to forgive a referee for making the wrong decision in the moment than it is to forgive someone with 6 computer screens and a friend helping them look at the screen. You're kind of going, you have no excuse for getting it wrong. So I think the little bit of leeway people were prepared to give the on-field referees before is gone, and you're still getting it wrong. I don't think the issue is necessarily VAR. I think it's the people using it, but unless we're going to train them better, which we're clearly not, it's going to continue to be a problem. So I think it's always going to be one now that is just spoken about all the time. Wills is saying it shouldn't be a good thing because VAR should be reliable, but because they're not a ref, a ref can go against them and do what they want anyway. And Wills is right there. If VAR was doing its job correctly, a referee wouldn't need to go against them because they would be correct. So it actually just points to another flaw in the system. Absolutely correct and right, Wills. Now, behind the dugouts are Kai. We're going to finish up in the next few minutes because you have been live with me. You've managed more than an hour and you've even got words in, which is spectacular because not everybody manages that. Sometimes you have to just smack me to make me stop talking. But overall, how are you feeling? Just about everything, just Chelsea in general. Obviously, you've got a new manager, but there's still problems. Some players better than others, some players developing, some not. Injuries, not injuries. Your ownership, board. Where are you at as a whole? Just your overarching. Yeah.
As a Chelsea fan, I don't think you can overarch it because it's two sides. Like for me, the manager and the players, I'll always back them. I'll always want them to do well. I'm not one of those fans that goes, I'd rather see my team lose if it meant we can push the ownerships out. I can't do that. That's not me. That's not for football. So I'm always going to back them. The jury's still out on Liam. I want him to do well. I would want any manager walking into this job to do well, but he's got a lot to do. The job is tough. Even for an experienced manager, it would be tough. The board and the ownership and the people that making the footballing decisions, they need to sort themselves out. Do I think they're gonna get up and sell? No, I don't. The one thing I do hope is that they can see the way that they're approaching or the way that they are implementing their model is incorrect and just lean towards the other side and go for a bit of experience and see if that works, because the last 4 years haven't. So let's try something different. But in terms, if he can carry on the way that he's doing, getting his wins, then I'm going to be happy at the end of the season because we should get Champions League. I still deep down feel like we're going to win a trophy this season.
We can.
I do
maybe you will.
So
now, Wills is asked. So earlier we were asked who is better, and you said Chelsea. I said United, but we both said it's not drastically different. But Wills has come back to us and he said, who will finish higher, United or Chelsea this season? Now, I'm assuming you think Chelsea. If you think Chelsea was going to finish third or fourth, and then we looked at Villa, so kind of around fourth, I would argue United. But I mean, again, I don't think there's anything. We are in very similar positions in our clubs.
Yeah.
Very similar positions. So I think it could really be a toss-up. What I think, and somebody said this earlier, I can't remember who it was. Can't remember. Somebody said, well, at least we can agree we're both better than Spurs. And I thought, you know what? Excellent point. Now, and I notes who's backing you is saying Chelsea, and Streets is saying absolutely United. So again, I don't think there's anybody who can be out of either of our fan bases that can be drastically confident. Streets is saying we're the best attacking team in the league by far. I
Big
want
statement.
to see that attack. Well, to be fair, Streets here is very good because when we were all predicting that Man City was going to beat us, Streets was the only one in the whole chat, in the whole predictor game, that predicted a Manchester United win against City. So at the moment, I am putting my faith in Streets' predictions. So if he reckons us, then I reckon us too. I have to
The
go.
one thing you guys have got that's going on your side kind of is that you are only doing one game a week.
Yeah.
We are in multiple competitions, which means there's more case for injuries, more games and things like that. That, I suppose, you can look at it both ways, because you could say, oh, their players might not be getting enough football, so they can't build up anything. But in terms of when you're going into the back end of the season, you want to keep your best players fit. When you're playing more games, it's a lot harder to keep players fit. But I still think we'll be above you. So,
I reckon we'll pip you. Once we both finish above Liverpool and Spurs, we'll be all right. I tell you, we could get fourth and fifth between us and we won't care then. Not so much. DJ Sav is saying both substitute coaches are doing well for Chelsea and Manchester United. Absolutely correct. Will says, yeah, it's hard to call because both managers are new. And that's the thing. They've both off to a good start, but we've seen other managers come in and get off to a good start. So it's just hard to know 100%. DJ Sav, when I asked you about the overarching picture there at Chelsea, he said, win, lose or draw, blue go out, not on Rosenior or the players, just the owners. So DJ Sav, absolutely stuck in there. I can understand that. Glazers out 100%.
Yeah.
And our protest, thankfully, is actually still going ahead. People are questioning it because obviously we got the City win and then the Arsenal win, and people were saying, oh, is this protest going to be cancelled? The 1958 have come out and said, absolutely not. Protest is still going ahead. The win is on the players in Carrick. The owners still need to go.
That's the same with the Chelsea fans. And I said this at the start when we were talking about the process which happened before the Brentford game, is when it's all right doing when things are going terrible, because that's when it's at the heat of the moment. But when we're winning, you still got to keep it up. You can't just, now that we're winning,
that's,
just
I think,
forget
when you
about
need
it.
to keep it up the most.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's when it counts the most. So hopefully it stays that. We've done one. Let's hopefully we carry on and get a change, because it needs to happen. But
100%.
the main thing is focus on the football.
Lads, we're going to leave it there. Everybody, I'm going to link Behind the Dugouts. I'm going to link Kai's channel in the description. So please do watch out for that. Go give him a subscribe. Go check him out. Please smash a like. Thank you very much for coming on. And I will speak to you all very, very soon. Hopefully after some more wins. Thank you for joining us. Have a good one, folks.